coming up this week.
More of your favorite features.
And trust me, you won't fall asleep in this history class.
And of course, we always want to hear from you.
Hear from your alma mater's players and coaches in Team Talk.
You know we can't leave you out. So send us your messages on social media and watch us react on FanView.
And you know we love a good little debate, right, Gio?
We've got you covered all season long on High School Pitchside.
High School Pitchside, your ultimate guide to all things schoolboy football, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
Yo, this is Governor representing of the CVM, you know. C-Tappen and CVM right now. Yeah.
Need to estimate your duty? Perform a track and trace? Search for a declaration?
Then download the Jamaica Customs mobile app today. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12 p.m.
I will say fry planting for Sunday morning now. That spin when Leela walks in. You don't know this is Leela Ike, we are up for CVM. C-Tappen right here on CVM TV. Love and life.
Here at Extreme E. This is unbelievable. Absolute carnage.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Thanks for joining us for CVM News at noon. It's Friday, October 3, 2025. I'm Mobay Harriet. Thanks for joining us. Up first this afternoon, the house of entertainer Sheldon Lawrence, popularly known as Idonia, was raided this morning as part of a broader targeted police operation across the St. Andrew North Division. Police sources have confirmed that nothing illegal was found at Idonia's premises, but CVM News understands that two persons connected to the DJ who were at the house have been taken into custody pending further investigations. Now, police sources say the coordinated operations were carried out targeting persons suspected to be involved in criminal activities. Several men have been taken into custody for questioning at the Constant Spring Police Station. Now, at least one man has been arrested and is expected to be charged in relation to a breach of the Firearms Act. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake led a high-level team to Manchester High School this morning as the search continues for missing 12-year-old Jaden Smith. The commissioner met with the principal, Jasford Gabriel, and other stakeholders, offering moral support and pledging to return the first former safely. Jaden was reported missing last Friday. Now, he was reportedly spotted Wednesday evening, but he ran away before anyone could reach him. Our newsroom understands he has also been spotted on CCTV footage. Now, joining us live to give us the latest on these developments, we have Senior Superintendent of Police Dennis Brooks, Senior Communication Strategist. Welcome, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you very much, Amoy. Thank you very much to your viewers.
So, SSP, we understand that there have been additional sightings of Jaden by a canteen staff at the school, and he's also been captured on CCTV. Can you confirm this?
Yes, we can confirm at this time that there have been multiple sightings of him. We have confidence that it is him who persons have seen, given their proximity to him. So members of the school staff, we were told by the principal today, have seen him. So we are optimistic of the likelihood that he will be, good sense will prevail and he'll be brought home safely. But the police continue to work with various other stakeholders to ensure that he is brought home and this entire episode comes to an end.
So can you say what came out of this morning's meeting with stakeholders at Manchester High?
Well, I mean, it was part of a broader set of meetings and stops that the commissioner has had this morning in Police Area 3. And so we were on a tour of Manchester. We're currently in Clarendon at this point in time. And yes, we thought it was important that we have that conversation with the folks at the high school to let them know that we are definitely committed to finding young Jaden, and also to ensure that they have all the information that we have and we have all the information that they have. So the investigators working on this case have been in constant dialogue with the principal and staff there. And it was a cordial meeting, and I think it went very well.
So after Clarendon, what's next for the police in this search?
No, we're not searching in Clarendon. But the stop is a part of several other things that we're doing in the space.
Okay. And what's next for the police?
Well, our work continues. We are continuing to pursue, very low levels of violence comparative to previous years. The commissioner has been meeting with the men and women of the force who are on the ground, showing them gratitude for the work that they continue to put in. And moving into the final quarter of the year, I think it's very important that the High Command is directly connecting with the men and women of the force who are going to make the success a reality. It doesn't happen by accident. And so quite naturally, it's important to be out there with them on the streets and ensure that they have our full support.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Brooks, for that update. That's Senior Communications Strategist within the JCF SSP, Dennis Brooks. Now, residents are again being urged to share any information that may assist investigators by contacting the Alligator Pond Police at 876-224-3113 or the Police 119 number. To other news now, residents in St. Thomas are renewing calls for stricter measures to control stray animals on the nation's roads after a man was injured when the vehicle he was traveling in collided with a cow. The accident happened sometime after 11 o'clock this morning along the Trinityville Main Road. Now, the driver, who said his motor vehicle is now written off, told our news team that his friend, who was a passenger in the car, is now in hospital.
The people who have the cow them on Coley Road, St. Thomas, I need to do something about it. I actually lose my life a while ago. Cow run out suddenly the car, mash up me and my friend car right off, and no owner. So they need to do something because people are losing their life on the road. I don't know whose cow is it. And nobody not owning cow. You understand? So the government need to do something about this.
Now, the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, earlier this week launched its new Rural Express service, offering passengers a more comfortable way to travel between Kingston and Montego Bay. Passengers will pay an introductory fare of $2,000 per trip. Now, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says the service will operate 6 days a week, with the first bus departing at 5:30 a.m.
If you want to go to do business, you'll be able to go on the bus in the morning and come back the same day. If not, you can overnight and come on whichever one of the trips that you so desire. And they are departing every morning.
Now, members of the legal fraternity are taking issue with what they say is a breach of dignity in the aftermath of Judge Ruth Lawrence's death. The Jamaican Bar Association says it is deeply troubled by the apparent non-observance of the Data Protection Act, which enshrines the right to privacy in death.
Every intimate detail of Judge Ruth Lawrence's final hours was laid bare, including an hour-by-hour account of the events leading to her death. The release of such sensitive information has sparked outrage within the legal fraternity, with many calling it a serious breach of privacy under the Data Protection Act. Notably, under the Jamaica Data Protection Act 2020, personal data of deceased individuals is protected for up to 30 years after their death. In a press release on Thursday, the Jamaica Bar Association said they're deeply troubled by the apparent non-observance of the Data Protection Act, which enshrines the right to privacy and the dignity of the individual, even in death. The association went further to say the act affirms that personal data must be handled with care, respect, and lawful purpose. It said the dissemination of intimate and distressing information without appropriate safeguards or justification undermines the solemnity of death, the humanity of the deceased, and those who are left to mourn her passing. The Bar Association says it condemns this breach in the strongest terms.
The indignity hits harder because here it is that she is someone who, everything that you read about her, she has given dedicated service to the public and to her community, and there is no basis on which she should have been treated in that manner.
Georgia Gibson Henlin is a fellow of Information Privacy and Managing Director of Privacy and Legal Management Consultants Limited.
And from a legal perspective, I am not sure of the source of the information, but it does appear, in terms of what I saw, it appears to be well ordered, well written, and it included information that is protected from disclosure under the Data Protection Act because her name was there, that of her husband was there, her address was there, the whole health situation, which is very sensitive personal information under the Act.
Mrs. Henlin contends that the public, in particular media entities, must do better to balance citizens' rights to know and upholding the law.
Well, the duty to protect privacy is first. And so in terms of putting the information out there or communicating the information to the public, one has to first have regard to the fact of the law. And is it necessary to disclose that level of detail in order to communicate the story? It seems to me that we revel in the excitement of gore these days.
She argues the Data Protection Act needs strengthening.
Here it is that something has happened and we'll have to basically search for ordinary remedies in order to deal with something as egregious as this. So the law needs to be fully brought into effect so that when there's a breach, the full consequences can be brought to bear. Because if ever there was a case that cries out for an act of deterrence, it is this one.
Amoy. All right, so we're going to be talking about this topic a little bit later on in our newscast during our live interview segment. Now, Montego Bay is on the verge of a cultural revival as Kingston Creative launches its new Mobay creative placemaking initiative aimed at positioning the parish as a hub for cultural tourism while generating new opportunities for local artists and creative entrepreneurs. Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, says this is a stellar opportunity for the city to make their mark and generate local economic opportunities.
Being a resort city, that has been a big thing for them. And we hope to ensure that they continue to get this opportunity, but also to ensure, and more importantly, that they really benefit from what we're doing locally so that our people can embrace what we're doing culturally and own a culture, express a culture, earn from the culture.
And it's time for a break, but stay with us. Our live interview comes up next.
Welcome to Deposit Insurance in a Minute. JDIC provides deposit insurance to each depositor based on their ownership category, up to 1.2 million at each bank and building society.
So what that mean now? What it means is deposits in each bank are insured separately, up to $1.2 million, and deposits in different ownership categories,
such as individual accounts, business accounts, joint accounts, and trust and nominee accounts, are also insured separately in each bank.
So wait, if me open my account in a 2 different banks, the 2 of them cover 1.2 million each?
That is it. Even if you plan for open 2 different categories of accounts,
like 1 individual and 1 business account in the same bank,
JDIC insures them separately under the deposit insurance scheme.
That's how deposit insurance works.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Getting the keys to your own home is a feeling many cannot describe. It's a moment we all hope for, and a dream that all Jamaicans have. The new social housing program is the difference between a dream and reality. The government, through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, is building hope, one home at a time.
Welcome back to CVM News at noon. Now, as you heard before the break, the legal community is raising red flags over the handling of sensitive information relating to the sudden death of Judge Ruth Lawrence. Now, the Jamaican Bar Association has condemned the public release of intimate details, citing potential breaches of the Data Protection Act. Joining us now is the president of the Bar Association, Tanisha Watkins. Good afternoon, Ms. Watkins.
Good afternoon.
So could you explain the specific concerns that the association has in relation to the information shared regarding the judge's death?
Well, I think as we mourn and we continue to mourn, I think the association, we became deeply troubled with what we saw being circulated, which included some very sensitive information concerning not only the judge, but also her husband. In fact, the Data Protection Act has some very basic standards that the data controller must abide by, and one of which is the respect for dignity, the lawful use of what is collected, securing the information once it is collected, and the information must be used for the purpose for which it is collected. And I'm sure it wasn't collected for this kind of sensationalism and breach of privacy that we're seeing. And for that reason, we are very, very concerned. The act has been enforced for years now, and data controllers must know what their responsibilities and obligations are under the act.
So do you believe the disclosure of such sensitive details reflects probably a systematic problem in how authorities and even media handle private information?
I would say yes, but I would also go further to say that perhaps it's time now to focus on sensitization. I think the act has been enforced. I don't know whether we can say that controllers understand the obligations that come with the controlling, the keeping, the protecting, and the securing of the data subject's information. So I think, yes, and every time that we see a breach, we will try to highlight, sensitize, and educate where we can.
And what specific responsibilities would you say journalists and media houses have when covering deaths, especially when it involves public figures?
You know, I think genuinely we need to operate with a little more compassion, a little more sensitivity. It's not just about the deceased, but those of us who are left to mourn or passing. We must be more careful in how we disseminate intimate and distressing information without appropriate safeguards or justification. You know, it really is something that we need to be more mindful of, just how we operate day to day when we are dealing with this kind of sensitivity and these sensitive matters.
And how would you suggest we strike that balance between the public's right for information with the deceased's right to dignity and privacy?
Well, even addressing specifically what was disclosed, I don't think there can be any question as to why that kind of information was collected. And once in that particular forum it is collected, then it must be used for the legitimate purpose for which it is collected, not for sensationalism, not for unwarranted broadcast of sensitive and intimate information. So once we collect it for a legitimate reason, we use it for that reason.
So, Ms. Watkins, has the bar communicated formally with law enforcement or any government agency regarding this matter? And if so, what has their response been?
Well, our first reaction to what we saw was the press release, which was done yesterday. I'm happy for the call I'm now on so that we can continue to express our views. I won't say explicitly where it came from, but at a point, contact was made, and I was told that the information was leaked. I don't know if that gives me any comfort, because if it can be leaked, it tells me that the proper security is not in place to protect it. You know, so it's a big issue. It's something that we need to look at. We're open to discussion.